The Racing Postcast in association with Paddy Power. They stream all UK and Irish racing live on your mobile, tablet or PC.
Good morning and welcome to the Racing Post Monday Review Postcast. I'm Nick Watts, and joining me today to dissect what was a fascinating weekend of racing are the Toms Nugent of Paddy Power and Siegel of Pricewise, plus our own David Jennings. Good morning, fellas.
Hi, Nick.
Hi, Nick.
Well, one place to start, and I think that's Sandown with the Tingle Creek. Underso won it nicely. It was a thrilling finish to the race. Tom, what did you make of it as a spectacle, and will it have any influence on the Queen Mother? I suspect not, but what do you think?
Yeah, it was fantastic. I was lucky enough to be there with Tom there. We had a good time, and it was a fantastic spectacle. Like you, I don't think it wasn't a very clean race. I mean, when I was there at the time, I thought, it was fantastic, all this, and I watched it back a couple of times, and literally they all made mistakes, didn't they? It just wasn't the cleanest race for a 2-mile champion chase. 2-mile champion chasers. For me, they're miles behind what will be required. I think Underso needs a lot further. I mean, I can't see him ever winning a champion chase. I'd have him over 3 miles before you could do anything else. Sada Gruji, he's getting on a bit. Godzone doesn't jump well enough. Better going right-handed. Had his chance, didn't take it. Armad's probably the interesting one, but I think they'll go up in trip with him as well. So if you're asking me if there was a champion chase winner there on Saturday, I would say no.
But could there be a King George winner? I mean, they're talking about supplementing Armad. He looks like he wants a longer trip, but does he want as long as 3 miles?
It's worth a shot, isn't it? I mean, it's a King George after all. Personally, I mean, if Thistlecrack runs, I don't think anyone will get near him. So you can run all you like. You can run as many as you like in the King George. But for me, it's worth a shot. I don't think it's going to be a strong King George. If Thistlecrack doesn't turn up, there's not much else, is there? I mean, we're talking about Tifa 2 and maybe Joss's Hill, horses like that. I think he could, it would be the right run style for him. The track suits front runners. And if he did stay 3 miles, because he jumped so well, despite a couple of mistakes the other day, I think it's interesting. It's interesting.
David, Bruce normally starts off these postcards by asking how you're getting on with Aoife. So how's it going with her first before we get to the Tingle Creek?
I wasn't expecting that to be the first question from you anyway. She's actually all right, but she's in the bad books because she had her Christmas party on Saturday night. And I said, being the great guy that I am, I said, I'll pick you up, you don't like them getting taxis back home and it's a long way. I said, but just be ready when I collect you. I don't mind what time it is, just be ready and come out to the car. So, of course, I got to 1 o'clock and I got the text, come in and collect me. 4:20, we got to bed.
Typical.
Was that her fault or yours?
It was absolutely her fault.
No, I'm not having that. I've been out with you. I know what happens.
Anyway, back to the racing, David. Tingle Creek, does Duvan pretty much walk this division if he stays at 2 miles, bearing in mind what you saw at the weekend, do you think?
Yeah, I think he does, and I think it makes it a lot more simpler for Willie Mullins, to be honest with you. It probably was simple in his head beforehand as well. As Tom said, I think you have to step Underso up and trip. I did the preview podcast on Friday, and I basically said that Underso had to win, and I'm not blowing my own trumpet, but it was just because it was such a poor race. And it turned out that way as well. I thought Tyler Grugy probably ran his race. He's getting on now, and, for him to get so close, and for the others to get so close, like even Armad, see the distance that he was beaten, given how much went wrong and the mistakes he made at crucial parts of the race, the clip he went early to lead Underso, serious question marks about the form. I'd certainly be back in Underso for the Ryanair at about 12-1. I don't think he needs the ground quite as soft if he does step up and trip, because I think the soft ground just slows others down over 2 miles. He's the interesting one for me from an anti-post angle for Cheltenham, Underso for the Ryanair, because I think obviously Duvan is the number one for the Queen Mother, and I think Willie always runs horses in the races that he thinks they have the best chance of winning. Duvan has the best chance of winning the Queen Mother, and I think Underso has the best chance of winning the Ryanair. So 12-1 I think is available with Underso for the Ryanair. I think is pretty big.
And Tom, what did this do to the Paddy Power prices for the Queen Mother? Did it have any ripples at all, or was it virtually unmoved after the Tingle Creek?
Not much, to be honest. It's still Duvan at the top 4-7. Underso is there 10-1. It did more to the Ryanair market, as David alluded to there. Underso was 6 from 12 for the Ryanair for that.
Okay, earlier on the Sandown card, we had a second win for Alteor over fences in the Henry VIII. Bit guessy early on, Tom, but got into it as the race went on, and he ended up, he strode away from Charbel really nicely and showed what he could do. What about the Arle? Is that a done deal for you, Alteor, to win?
Definitely not. No, definitely not a done deal. I have mixed opinions, really. I mean, he looked quite good over the last couple, didn't he? Over the last mile, but to begin with, he was pretty sticky. I mean, Charbel's a good horse. He's not a brilliant horse. I think Kim Bailey's talking about JLTs for him, so he really should be beating him 6 lengths anyway. The time he was quick over the last few. To be fair, the last few furlongs was pretty quick, but it was a pretty slow time. It was like 3 or 4 seconds behind what RSA did, and I wasn't that impressed, to be honest. I don't think it's a done deal. I think he's a brilliant horse. I'd still love to see him in the Champion Hurdle, but I think you got Min, I think you got Identity Thief, I think you got better horses that he's got to take on now, and I think it's shaping up to be a fantastic Arle. If he can beat those type of horses the way he did on Saturday, then we are talking about a superstar.
And David, there was some fighting talk from Rich Ritchie today, pointing up Min's chances against Alteor should they face up in the Arle. Is Min a credible contender for the race? And what's your view on Alteor? Do you think he's past the post already, or are you looking you think it's more open than the betting suggests?
I certainly think Min is a credible contender, but I just don't see how he's going to finish ahead of Alteor. As Tom said, look, he was sketchy over the early part of the race, Alteor. But I loved the final mile of the race. I loved what he did, and even between the last two, it was Charbel wasn't stopping. Now I know he ran down the last fence, but I just wondered coming into the last. God, I wonder how much is Noel holding on to here. And then what he did, like in the last 100 yards, was quite extraordinary. He obviously has a huge engine. I think Saturday will teach him a lot. Look, I said on Friday I thought 2-1 was a respectable price for the Arle at that stage, because I thought come the day he could be odds on. I still probably think that. I think he is the best. I think he's got the most ability, and I think he's got the most scope. I think he can jump a lot better than he did. Look, I know it's ridiculous. It's 3 months before the race, but I don't think he's going to be 2-1 on the day. I think he will remain unbeaten over fences for the season. I know that's a big call to make, but I just can't see anything beating him over fences in this division unless he falls.
And Tom, what was Paddy Power's view on the race? Did you cut him after he won, or did he stay the same?
We took him to 6-4 from 2s. Min is still 4-1. So yeah, he just came in a small bit. But,
and what would you be looking at in this race at this stage? Are you an Alteor fan, or are you?
Yeah, I would be. Obviously, we'll see what Min gets into serious company at Christmas, and we'll see what he does then. But at the moment, it looks Alteor's to lose. To be honest, I know that's very boring, but
this Identity Thief, lads, he's a superb jumper. He is. He wasn't right at Cheltenham, I swear. I mean, I think he's a really, really good horse, him. I think
he hit every fence the last day, Tom.
Nah, he was fine. You couldn't see it. What are you talking about?
I'm joking.
I think he's a really good jumper. I'm looking forward to seeing him take him on, because I think he'll get him in trouble.
Well, it wasn't just at Sandown. We had some top-class action on Saturday. We had a great card at Aintree too. Fantastic to see the horses going over the big fences in the Beecher Chase. I backed Alvarado, who decked it at the second, which was nice. But there could have been some Grand National clues in there from a number of horses, Tom. The Last Samurai, Highland Lodge, Vieux Leon Rouge, Uccello Conti even, they all, in some way or form, kind of advanced their case for Aintree. Was there any one of those, that quartet, that you would pick out and think, yeah, he's on my radar for April?
Well, I think Samurai's got to be the number one out of that lot, I think. I mean, I know Tom will probably come on to Uccello Conti later on, but I'm just a little bit worried about his jumping round there. I think, Samurai's very good around those fences. I thought he ran a great trial. Vieux Leon Rouge, I think we'd be worried about his stamina, as with Highland Lodge. I thought the fifth horse, One for Arthur, ran quite an interesting race. He was the only one that came from, he was last, Jumping Beach's second time. I thought he stayed on really well. He was a bit sketchy early on, but he'll have to win a few races if he's going to get in. But so for me, it would be the Samurai of those lot.
Yeah, but I backed Vieux Leon Rouge in the National last year. Just had a speculator on him. It looked like he was going to get involved and didn't get home. So although he's just won the Beecher, like you said, stamina would be an issue for him, wouldn't it, over the longer trip?
Yeah, I think so, definitely. That's what I thought. I thought the same in the 4-miler at Cheltenham. That 4-miler that's worked out so well. He was bang there with Native River and all those good horses, but he just definitely didn't get home. So that would be an issue, sure.
And Tom, from Paddy Power, Uccello Conti, I know was a you were a big fan of him leading up to the race. Were you pleased with his run, or a bit disappointed? 2
out, I thought he was travelling like the winner. I was actually standing beside Tom Segal watching it, and I got very, very tetchy indeed. My Christmas was revolving around Darren Jacobs' nerve, but no, I thought he ran well. I don't know, he hit 1 or 2 in fairness. But it's an ideal prep run. You mightn't see him again now till the National in April. I don't know what the plan is with him. Apparently he's hard enough to get fit. He might have a spin over hurdles again, but I thought it was a very good run. He's still 33-1 there for the National. So that's a big enough price when you're talking the others mentioned there. The Last Samurai is 16s, Vieux en Rouge 20s. 33s is a bit of value for me anyway.
And David, what do you make of the race? Are you a big fan of racing over the national fences? Are you more of a purist? Did you watch the race? Anything that caught your eye with April in mind?
Yeah, I wouldn't be a huge lover. It's funny, the Grand National, I love watching it, but from a betting point of view, I find it a little bit of a nightmare. And I had recently adopted a policy of looking back and seeing who's the best experience over the national course. And I was very tempted to back St. Dar and Alvarado on that account, and both of them fell early on. So I'm glad I didn't back anything. Look, it was an exciting finish. Did we, as Tom said, I think Ucello Conti is probably the most interesting one come the National, because I know every single last detail of his training is going to go towards Aintree in April. So he's probably the one to take out of the race. But God, there was a lot better race than that over the weekend.
Will he run again, do you think, or have you heard?
I don't think so. No, I say he'll run over hurdles. I'd imagine
right, yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised to see him running that. Maybe, I think there's a race there in Punchestown on New Year's Eve. It's a hurdle race over 2.5 miles, and I'd say you might see him in something like that.
Okay.
But I'd be surprised if we seen him again over fences before Aintree.
It's just the most frustrating things. You mentioned St. R. St. R and Alvarado must have been over so many Grand National fences. You could easily fancy them at the weekend. You're just settling down to watch the race, and they both deck it inside the first couple of fences. Most annoying thing is a punter.
For those national fences, I think since they've got smaller, they've got harder to work out myself. It's just absolute, you watch after watching 3 fences, you know which ones have got a chance and which ones haven't. It's so weird compared to any other race you ever watch. As you say, you have no way. It's such about rhythm and luck, and those are the 2 things that you can't predict. So, mind you, the punters got them right, didn't they? Both favourites won over the national fences on Saturday. It's normally 25-1, 50-1, whatever you like prices winning over those fences, but they both went in.
Yeah, absolutely. Saturday was just a fantastic day all round. I'm sure that you've got some eye catchers. Mine, I'm going to put one up. Evening Hush, who won the first race at Aintree, thought it looked very good. One from each of you now. I'll start with you, Tom Siegel, that we haven't talked about so far, but you liked at the weekend. I've
got to give it to my old friend Lamb or Cod, Nick. What a horse he is. I think he's the only winner I ever tipped, Lamb or Cod. There he was at Chepstow again. Now, I don't think he's in the Welsh National, but he's just a great old horse that's on good ground. He was down to 1-3 something the other day. I think he could win a good handicap. He stays really well. His jumping's okay when Richard Johnson decides to get him into a fence properly. I think he's still a good horse, and he can still win good races. So, it would be unfair of me to mention any other horse than my old friend, the Cod.
Another Tom from Paddy Power. What would you put in the horse tracker?
I've probably done my dough here talking about Ucello Conti already, but I'm just going to put him up. I bloody love him. I love him so I do.
And David, last but very much not least, go on, give us one from the weekend.
I thought one of the most interesting races probably of the weekend was the Beginner's Chase at Ferry House on Saturday. It was the race that Ruled the World was beaten in by Adrian de Moss 2 years ago. So it's always a really good Beginner's Chase, and Alteor won it this year. And probably the horse that finished second would be the one I'd be most interested in, perhaps from a long-term perspective, a Genie in a Bottle of Noel Mead. Probably needs, I think he might need a bit softer ground, but he certainly needs further. It was 2 mile 5. He was staying on, and Marcello Tower and Acapella Bourgeois are 2 high-class hurdlers who jump well. So for him to split them, I thought was a fair performance. I wouldn't be surprised to see him creeping into the 4 miler reckoning come March, along with Marcello Tower, who looks to be crying out for the 4 miler at Cheltenham. So the first 2 home in that Beginner's Chase, I wouldn't be surprised to see them showing up in the National Chase at Cheltenham.
There we are. We're going to take a quick break now, and then we'll be looking back on Sunday's action from Ferry House.
Here's Paddy Power's latest horse racing offer. It's money back as a free bet if your horse finishes second to the SP5 in all races at one meeting today. And at one meeting every day this month. Max £25 per race. Not available in shops. 18+. Gambleaware.co.uk.
Right, it was a fantastic Sunday of racing at Ferry House. We had loads of Grade 1 action. And one of the most thrilling finishes of the day happened in the Hatton's Grace hurdle, where Vroom Vroom Mag looked as though she was going to keep her unbeaten record, came through with what looked like a winning run, but was denied by Apple's Jade. David, were you surprised, bearing in mind she'd only just appeared at Newcastle the previous weekend, hadn't looked as good as she looked last season in 2 runs this season, but she really pulled it out to beat Vroom Vroom. What did you make of the race? It's a bit of a head-scratcher, isn't it? What would you do with the 2 horses now?
That's the big question, I suppose. The one word that comes to mind with Apple's Jade, with the whole thing, is just brave. You know, it was a really brave call from Gordon Elliott to run her 8 days after finishing just beaten in the fight in fifth. You know, you have to remember she's still only 4, and to have the balls to bring her out again in a Grade 1 after such a hard race at Newcastle, I thought that was hugely brave. Brian Cooper was absolutely battered from the fall from Peace News in the Royal Bond. He was limping. He limped back into the weigh room. He limped back out onto the horse, and even when he got down from Apple's Jade, you could see he was still limping. He gave that horse a hell of a ride, and he was very strong in the finish. So to have fallen half an hour earlier to come back out to ride a Grade 1 that he really needed, that was huge for the career of Brian Cooper. To beat Ruby Walsh in a driving finish in a Grade 1, it was huge, because he was under pressure after a kind of a stuttering start to the season. And obviously Apple's Jade was hugely brave herself. You know, she just doesn't know when she's beaten. And I like the way they pulled clear Shane's Hill. I think Apple's Jade, it's the mare's hurdle, and that's it for Apple's Jade. If only it was so simple for Vroom Vroom Mag. I have no idea where she's going to show up. I would love to see her going back over fences. But your guess is as good as mine where she's going to show up. I have not got a clue.
Could Apple's Jade figure in a soft ground champion hurdle, or do you think that's completely out of the question now?
Completely out of the question. He ruled it out. I think his exact quote was, we thought he said lapped. She would be lapped in the champion hurdle, but I think he said she wouldn't be mapped in the champion hurdle. So that was his quote after the race. So no, that is completely out of the question for Apple's Jade. So you can completely rule out Apple's Jade. The only thing is, there's bloody nothing to run in the champion hurdle at the moment, so they could be tempted.
And Tom, what did you make of it? Obviously a thrilling finish. Anything for with the future in mind that you took out of the race?
Look, not especially. I'd agree with David there. I don't think she's quick enough to win a champion hurdle, unless it got very soft. You never know. One day we'll have a soft ground festival again, but look, to say she can trouble Forheen, Annie Power, all those ones who, if they get there, then I think it's asking a bit much. Vroom Vroom was fine. She didn't quite get the run of the race, did she? I didn't think. I mean, Apple's got a perfect ride, didn't she? And stuck on well, but I think there's plenty to come. Remember, Forheen was beaten on his debut last year. I think there's more to come from her. As David says, though, where will she run? I mean, I think that there must be a chance we see her in the King George. I really think that, because I can't see who else Willie's going to run. I can't believe Duvan will turn up. He's not going to have anything else. Richie, I'm sure, would love a runner at Kempton over Christmas.
You're not sure. You're not sure about her over 3 miles.
No, I'm not sure about her over 3 miles. I saw her at Ascot last year. I was at Ascot there last year when she won. Now, she beat a strong stare in Jenny's Duel, but I spoke to Ruby afterwards, and he said, you know, turning for home, I thought she was going to win by 50 lengths. You know, she just couldn't have been going easier. And he said her weakest bit was from the last to the line, and I'd be slightly worried about her over 3 miles. That would be my issue, but I think, where do you go with her? I mean, maybe over Christmas, surely there's a Grade 1 she could mop up over Christmas. But, you know, we're talking about a King George 3 weeks away or whatever it is that hasn't got many, you know, runners. And Willie, I can't see having a runner. And he's always liked to have runners in the King George. Back in the day, he's always had runners. So we'll see what happens. Maybe that's where she'll go. But for me, she's still the one to take out of that race.
And Tom, if we wanted to back Vroom Vroom for the King George, what quote have we got from Paddy Power?
Vroom Vroom Mag is in the King George at 16-1.
16.
What do you think, David? Any chance? Probably not, but...
No, I don't think so. I'd love to see it. I'd be very surprised. I don't think Willie will have a runner in King George this year. I think it'll be a very small field. I don't know about you. The way it's shaping up, I'd say 8 or less runners.
I was trying to find 8 the other day when I went through it, and I couldn't. I thought there might be 5 or 6.
Yeah, it looks like a small field. It'd be great if she showed up in that. I just can't see it. I don't know why. Just trying to read Willie is probably the hardest thing to do in racing.
No, but I deep down I agree with you, because it's not his style to put a. You know, let's not forget that people are talking about Thistlecrack going to the King George with only 3 runs. She's only had 4, and probably 4 much easier runs than Thistlecrack has had. You know, and she's only beaten 3 or 5 runner fields as well. So it's a lot to send her there. It's not Willie's style to send someone a mare like that into the King George. But I'm just speaking aloud. I hope she goes, because it adds something to the race.
If I was to guess what race you go for next, I would say probably the Christmas hurdle, the Ryanair hurdle at Leopardstown, because the vibes are not great about Annie Power or Faheen, and I think she's the next best on that list for Willie for that race. And unless York Hill doesn't go chasing, but if I was to guess what race she'd go for next, it'd be that Ryanair hurdle. that Nicholas Canyon won last year.
Well, Willie said she was the super sub. You know, she could fit in wherever Forheen and Annie Power didn't go, so that would make some kind of sense. Elsewhere at Ferry House, Coney Island won what I thought was an absolutely cracking Drinmore Novice Chase. Looked really good. Tom, he must be every inch an RSA horse, you would think, looking at that.
Very much so. Tom there will no doubt bang on about Annabelle Fly, but I liked both of them, and I thought the first three jumped exceptionally well, and I thought it was a really, really strong race. I'm a big fan of Alpha Des Obo too. I don't think he did anything wrong. I think he'll be better over 3 miles. And we know he's got good form at Cheltenham, so I thought the three of them put together an exceptional form. That is, I think they're all top class, and I think we'll see them all in the RSA probably.
David, what did you make of the race? First the winner, and then, with the Elliott horses, Artois Phil and Diamond King, do you think their bubbles were burst slightly?
Yeah, first of all, Coney Island, I suppose he came in under the radar in that he was the only one that hadn't won over fences previously, but I did the analysis of his beginner's chase at Punchestown, a race that Haymount won, and it looked a cracking beginner's chase beforehand because you got Maldini in it, who obviously won the Pertemps final. It looked a really good race. There was loads of depth to it, and the fact that Haymount won it, afterwards people were kind of saying, oh, Haymount's only rated 120-something over hurdles, but Coney Island and Maldini ran such lovely races in that, and Coney Island obviously took a step forward from that. It was very hard to pick holes in the performance. He jumped, he travelled, he quickened, he won with a nice bit up his sleeve. And Mark Walsh, is he the second best jockey around at the minute after Ruby? He is riding out of his skin at the moment. I know, just having a brief kind of chat with the journalist in the Irish press room, I'd say if you were to pick the second best jockey at the moment around, a lot of people will say Mark Walsh is at the moment. He's doing very little wrong. Of those in behind, Alfred Azobo ran a cracker for the RSA. I still think he's the most likely winner of that. Annabelle Fly, I think he needs slightly softer ground. I just think when the race quickened, he was just a little bit tap for toe, and then he stayed on again. I know he won on yielding ground at Punchestown, but I just get the impression he likes to get his toe in a little bit more. I think if you do see soft ground, I think you'll see a better Annabelle Fly. Tony Martin absolutely loves him. Of the Elliott horses, what can you say? Diamond King completely blew up. Like, he was well beaten before that mistake at the last. He should have been able to quicken better than that. Toy Phil is a horse I just don't like. I just don't like him. I don't think you can rely on him. And Lieutenant Colonel just looks to be gone at the game. He looks like a chaser, Lieutenant Colonel, but I just don't think he is. I'd forget about him. But as Tom said, I think probably the first two are the two to take out of the race. And certainly Alfred Azobo for the RSA. It'll take a good one to beat him.
And David, just rewinding to Punchestown in the spring, Coney Island just beaten there in a Grade 1 hurdle by Bells Hill, who made a winning chase debut recently in the fog. We didn't see much of it. Would Bells Hill be on your radar for the RSA as well, or maybe not? Oh,
he would, yeah. He we don't know what he did, but it was obviously quite impressive. He won by 10 lengths, and and the reports have been that he schooled well beforehand as well. There's just so many still to come out. You just don't know what way it's going to shape up. But the RSA, there's not too many contenders in there apart from Alfred Azobo yet that you can kind of say, Clan Azobo, probably I can't see him run over, the RSA trip this season. I think he'll be kept to 2.5 miles. So yeah, Alfred Azobo is the one that staked his claim at the moment. He's done his run, and I think they'll try and freshen him up after Christmas. Bells Hill, look, we'll know more about him at Christmas. I'd say he'll run in that slow gas novice chase, so that'll be interesting.
And moving on to the hurdlers from yesterday, Tom, we saw Land of Hope and Glory advance his claims for the Triumph Hurdle. He's probably the first one of the Joseph O'Brien lot that he got from his dad to kind of stake his claim. There's many more to come, but he's really put his hand up, and he's looking good over hurdles. Yeah,
he's done nothing wrong, has he? I think the vibes are he's not number one by any stretch of the imagination at Joseph's. I think Houses of Parliament, a horse called Bhutan, a few others floating around there have been touted as being, have taken well to hurdling. So whether he's the number one come Cheltenham, I don't know, but he's done absolutely nothing wrong. He was good over the last. He made a little bit of a mess of the second last, I thought. Got in a bit tight there. But I think he's a very good horse. He's done nothing wrong. And I think he's the best juvenile we've seen. Whether he's the best in Joseph's Yard, it's like that old thing, isn't it? The old war joke, the Steve Waugh. He's not even the best all-rounder in his family. It's a bit like that. He's the best we've seen, but I'm pretty sure we got better ones to come from his own stable.
And Tom, what price is Land of Hope and Glory for the Triumph Hurdle? And give us a price also. I forgot to ask what Coney Island was for the RSA after this. So could you give us quotes on both?
So Land of Hope and Glory is a 6-1 favourite now for the Triumph Hurdle. Both Poem is into tens, and he's the one for me. Surely the improver there. Got pretty close first run since April, and he'll definitely come on for that. In the RSA then, Coney Island is 8-1 from 25-1, and if you'll allow me to have a little harp, I absolutely love Annabelle Fly.
Never.
Absolutely love the horse. Where do you said the RSA possibly, Tom? In the JLT market at the moment at 16-1, but stick it in the tracker. I think it's really, really good. I think it's beginner chase form could work out really well. Of course, Martello Tower in second and Gertine in third. There'll be plenty more winners from that race. It'll work out well, I think, too.
And Tom, we also had the Peterborough Chase yesterday at Huntingdon, won comfortably by Joss's Hill. Could he be a lively outsider for something big this season, maybe a King George? Or do you think races like the Peterborough Chase, just below the top class, are ones that are going to suit him best? It doesn't put too much pressure on his jumping.
He's jumping so much better, isn't he, Nick? I think he's got a shot. I mean, was he placed in an Arle? You'll know better than me.
Arle and a Supreme.
And a Supreme.
Yep.
He's got a ton of ability, isn't he? And the problem with him was his jumping, wasn't it? It just was horrendous for last year and the year before. I mean, I don't know how he got placed in an Arle with the way he was jumping was amazing. So I'm not ruling him out any race. Now he jumps better. I mean, I think Noel Feely was brilliant on him yesterday, and it was a strong race. That T for Two's a good horse, right-handed on flat tracks. More of that is I was
going to ask you about him. Were you disappointed?
I was very disappointed with him. Yeah.
So you didn't take positives out of that? You thought it was another negative run?
Massively negative run, yeah, for me. I mean, he had excuses coming back. Reminded me of how, not as well as he ran, but when Long Run ran in the Paddy Power and got beaten and well beaten, there was excuses. First run back, big weight, first time in a big handicap. You can sort of expect, it was a tough ask for him. But yesterday, I didn't think there was any excuses, and I thought he was laboured from the word go, really. He didn't show any spark. I have to put him down as a horse with issues now.
And David, what did you make of the race? Did you watch it? Were you impressed with Joss's Hill?
Yeah, I've always been a fan of Joss's Hill. Was it somebody on here said he used to jump like an ironing board? I thought that was a good analogy there, because he never bended his back, really. But he's making a much nicer shape over his fences now. Like Tom, more of that, I think he's probably just one to forget about now, because everything was an effort. It seemed to be just an awful effort to get from one side of the fence to another. He looks like he obviously has some sort of breathing problem. I don't know. It just looked as if everything seemed to be an effort. Like, he crept into it coming to the third last. I thought, right, turning for home, he might kind of get into it, and then he just didn't. I thought he'd win that race yesterday, more of that. So yeah, I'd forget about him. Joss's Hill, if it turns up to be a kind of a, if the Ryanair does cut up, I couldn't see him beating on the so over that trip, but we don't know if he's going to show up there. But yeah, if it cuts up, Joss's Hill is improving. He's jumping better. Experience seems to be standing to him. He has a chance. He's a nice horse. Yes, that's about it.
And Tom, just give us a rundown of the King George market as it stands with Paddy Power. Where are we at the moment? Yeah,
sure. So at the moment, Q-Card is a 6-4 favourite. Thistlecrack with a run is 7-4. Conegry 5-1. Duvan 10s. Valserlido 12-1. Vroom Vroom Mag 16s. And then there's a few in at 20s, including T for Two, Silvianaco, Conti, and Sub Lieutenant. And that's 33-1 bar. One of them at 33s is Armad.
Okay. Right, it's time for another advert, and then after the break, we'll be looking ahead to Cheltenham this weekend.
Here's Paddy Power's latest horse racing offer. It's money back as a free bet if your horse finishes second to the SP5 in all races at one meeting today. And at one meeting every day this month. Max £25 per race, not available in shops. 18+, gambleaware.co.uk.
Right, we've got the Caspian Caviar Gold Cup meeting at Cheltenham coming up. Also, the International Hurdle, formerly the Beulah. That actually might see Yanworth run, Tom. There seems to be a bit of a U-turn since You Know What I Mean Harry won at Newbury, and Alan King's talking about putting him back over 2 miles, maybe with a look to the Champion Hurdle. What do you think of that?
Well, I think it's definitely worth a shot, isn't it? Let's not forget he ran a cracker in the Neptune, which has always been the best trial for the following season's Champion Hurdle. The race didn't go his way. He made a few mistakes. He got out the back. He got out wide. He still ran really well to the line. Why not give him a shot? You got JP McManus has got, what I mean, Harry's got Jeski for the World Hurdle. It's only a shot, isn't it? Let's have a look, see if he can do it over 2 miles. If not, we can always go up. I think it's exactly the right thing to do, especially as as David said earlier, where are the champion hurdlers these days?
And David,
at the moment?
David, I think I'm right in saying that you're a big advocate of Yanworth having a go at 2 miles at least, so you'll be pleased to see that the talk looks like it's heading that way.
Yeah, it's a no-brainer. I can't see why on earth to go down the World Hurdle route with him. Like, there is nothing at the moment for the champion hurdle. Like, you're hoping that Annie Power and Faheen are going to come back. You know, we haven't heard anything positive about either from Willie yet this year, or anybody in the camp. Obviously, I hope and pray that they do come back. But if they don't, and just say you're for argument's sake, just right now, you're saying, right, neither of them show up for the champion hurdle. Like, where are you going to find your contenders? And Yanworth, there is a chance York Hill might be kept over hurdles, but Yanworth, you know, everything went wrong for Yanworth in that Neptune, and he still was up the arse of York Hill in that Neptune. I thought that was a hell of a run.
I apologise to listeners there.
I'd forgive any horse his first run of the season. I thought it was a Labour performance, but I thought he always looked like winning, to be honest with you. I thought he was it was a similar type. I think he made his hurling debut at Exeter last year and in the Fog, and you know, was a similar type of performance. I think he's only going to get better as the season goes on. And if you go through that champion hurdle list, which Tom might do, so few that are going to show up that he's the one that's won his race. He's made his reappearance. We know he's in good health. He's obviously been working well since. I think if he wins on Saturday, he could be a much shorter price for the champion hurdle.
All right, come Tom, give us a show for the champion hurdle. Would Yanworth be of any interest to you in that market?
So Annie Power is the top 2-1, Faheen 3-1, Yanworth 10s, and it's 16-1 York Hill and Vroom Vroom Megan 20s bar. We were having this discussion actually, myself and Paddy Power, over on the way over to Sandown on Saturday, that there's so much uncertainty with the top few in the champion hurdle. You just haven't a clue. Like, it could be some of the first 4, 5, 6 even mightn't run, but Yanworth now looks the only sure thing, so 10-1 could be a shade of value.
We've also got a top handicap with the Caspian Caviar Gold Cup. Now, if you go back to the Paddy Power, I think most people's horse to take out of the race was possibly Asso with Venetia Williams. He's well fancied again to win on Saturday. Tom, would he be of interest to you, or are you kind of looking elsewhere, or are you not really formed a huge opinion yet?
I haven't really had a great look yet, but not now. Everyone seems to talk about him. I think I'll probably be the first one I don't look at, because I think he'll be too short really on Saturday. Nick, he might need soft ground too. I mean, I don't know what it's going to be at Cheltenham, but I can't see any rain on the horizon, and so I think the conditions suited him last time. I wouldn't be worried about him improving for the run. Venetians tend not to, so I don't know. I'd be looking elsewhere. It'll be a different race, different day. Does jump well though, so he's definitely up there. You can see it. It's clear there for everyone to see.
And David, what about you? We're approaching Christmas. You need to get Aoife a nice present. You need some money to be able to do that.
Getting nothing after Saturday.
So who wins the Caspian Caviar Gold Cup to enable you to buy that lovely present for Aoife?
Well, I've thought for 11 months that King's Odyssey would win the Caspian Caviar Gold Cup, but on the proviso that there would be loads and loads of rain, which there usually is for this race, and that it would be soft ground, which he absolutely adores. I think this has been the plan for Yonks. I think since he won over the course and distance, I think it was in January, I think this has been the plan. But look, it looks like, as Tom, I've been trying to look at the weather forecast for the week ahead. There's not much around, Tom, is there?
I haven't seen it, but you know what these weather forecasts, they're worse than me, weather forecasters, David. So.
Yeah, I just hope there is some late rain. I thought towards the end of the week there was a little bit around. If there's any soft in the going description at all, I'll be all over King's Odyssey.
And Tom, it looks a very open race from a betting perspective. Can you give us the rundown from Paddy Power and a choice from you if you've got a fancy?
Yeah, 9-1 the field, Tacken the Sign, Illumimo at the top, Asso 10-1 with Village Vic, 12-1 then Bowroy, definitely Red, 3 Musketeers, Empire of Dirt. And there's too many to name at 14-1, so we'll leave it there, I think. Keep your money in your pocket, I would say, until closer to the time. I haven't a rashers what's going to run here at the moment.
Nick, if I was going back through the Paddy Power, I'd say Bouvroy might be the one to take out of it. I thought the ground went wrong for him. I think he's definitely much better on good ground. He was quite soft on the day. I think he wasn't beaten far. I could see him maybe turning the tables on those, but I love that Village Vic. He's such a brilliant jumper. how can you kick him out the frame? I mean, he's going to have them all at it, from miles out again. Whether he stays on well enough to win, I don't know, but he's going to run a massive race.
And what price is Bouveril, Tom?
Bouveril is 12 to 1.
12 to 1 with Paddy Power. Well, thank you everyone for your input today, to the two Toms and to David. We'll be back on Friday for the preview postcard for Saturday's racing. And don't forget to subscribe and rate the postcast on iTunes.
The Racing Postcast in association with Paddy Power. They price up all UK and Irish racing the night before.